Good afternoon. I'm late again, but I'm not really on my routine, so y'all gonna have to just get what y'all get. But today is different. Again, since I'm not driving doing my Instagram live, I'm pulling some tarot cards for the full moon tomorrow. For a while last year, I was pulling daily tarot cards on my Twitter page, but it just became a bit much to keep up with, and I've kind of replaced my daily interactions with these live videos. So today I've got my lovely golden thread deck, which I reserve for reading for other people. I generally don't use this deck to read for myself. I do sometimes. I generally use just I have a couple nondescript Rider-Waite decks. One is Universal Tarot. The other is Morgan Greer. I like Morgan Greer. Those images are like edge to edge, and I have like a mini deck of cards in like a little tin like this. That's kind of my preferred like pulling cards for myself deck. But if you ever come see me at Haji Healing Salon in Chicago to get an in-person reading, this is the deck that I use. And if you ever catch an in-person reading with me down here in New Orleans, this will be the deck I use anyway. I love this deck. The images catch me off guard sometimes because they're just a little bit different than traditional Rider-Waite. There's the King of Cups, for example. He's a merman. Kind of cool, huh? Yeah. Anyways, thanks, Anna the Base God. So I have no idea how I'm laying out these cards. I'll probably pull 9 cards. That's kind of one of my happy numbers. 3 is a happy number for me, and 9 is a happy number as far as how many cards I pull. I'm so sorry that I haven't got to see a lot of people while I'm down here. I will be back at the beginning of May. I'm not sure what my schedule is going to be like while I'm here then, because I'll have my son with me that time. We're going to take a little trip together. But I am enjoying New Orleans. It's so beautiful here. Yeah, it's nice. And it's a lovely, gorgeous spring day. Sun is shining. It's been pretty overcast since I got here Saturday. So we're talking about the full moon. If you saw my thread on Twitter talking about the full moon, and I did post it here on my Instagram page, I was really tying together the fact that at this full moon, the sun is in Pisces, the moon is in Virgo, and Jupiter is, in Scorpio. So I kind of pulled together those 3 themes, which have a lot to do with really how are we making sense of ourselves and our experiences and how our past got us to the present point. I'm going to be talking about that a lot more with regards to Jupiter in Sagittarius transit, which begins, I think, next week, the 29th. So I'm really excited about that. Yeah, that's a really exciting transit. Although Jupiter transits can be overwhelming because they really ask you to question everything. And it's exhausting to question everything because we want to take things for granted, that things are the way they are, and not really think so deeply about why they are the way that they are. So at this particular full moon, though, because the sun is in Pisces and the moon is in Virgo, we're straddling the pole of can I take the evidence at face value, or is there something deeper there? What is the story that the evidence tells me, right? Because we can lay out a set of facts or a set of data, but it's always going to be our interpretation of that data that tells us what it really means. There's nothing really inherent in facts or data. It is the story that we choose to tell about that set of facts or data that determines what truth is. So we can take your life, for example, and we can write down with as much accuracy as possible, with as much precision as possible, because those are Virgo words, accuracy and precision, not perfection. We can write down a set of facts about things that happen. You were born. You were born in this city. You were born in this city on this day and at this time. Your mother who gave birth to you is such and such. Your father who raised you was such and such, right? Those are all facts, right? They're not really up for debate in general. But what is the story that all of those facts tell, right? What can be implied from the state or town that you were born in? What can be implied from your mother and her race and her ethnicity or age or status or class, right? All of these things tell us how we really interpret the facts of our life. So at this full moon, we really are thinking about what is the truth within the evidence? What is the story in the data, right? Can I take this data at face value? Is the way that I'm even collecting this data, is there something implied about the way that I'm collecting this data, the questions that I'm asking? Am I even asking the right questions, right? So I'm gonna lay down 9 cards here. My little thing is upside down, but y'all will be all right. I just realized that I have a little mat here, cloth here laying down. Y'all will be all right though. So generally when I do tarot readings, I always read the card on the bottom of the deck. So let's cut the deck here right down the middle. 5 of Cups. I used to not like this card. It used to really annoy me. I'd be like, what the fuck is the 5 of Cups? What am I gonna do with this, right? The 5 of Cups is the card of emotional adjustment. It is this realization or having to accept the fact that things have not turned out the way that you wanted them to, or that the expectations that you've had for a particular relationship, a person, place, or thing in your life has not lived up to what it is that you've wanted. So the 5 of Cups speaks to us about the adjustments that we have to make when things don't work out the way we want them to. Cups are always about water, and as you know, water for me is not just feelings. Feelings is kind of the interpretation of what we feel in our body, and feel in the sense of sense, right? In the actual temperature, your heart beating. We call this the interoceptive. Thank you, Nikki. The 5 of Cups is water, is talking to us about how we're interpreting what we feel in our body as disappointment, as loss or sadness, but also this sense that things have not been completely destroyed or overturned. It's more of a minor adjustment, meaning that, man, okay, that is not how I was expecting that to go, or the expectation that I had of this person, place, or thing is not living up to my desire. What am I going to do? Right? So a lot of times it's just merely sitting in the moment of discomfort without emotional resolution. Thank you. Right? When you're sitting in the moment of discomfort without emotional resolution, what is that? Right? So let me just lay this card here. I'm so glad that these cards are on point. I think it's on point for all of us, hopefully. All right, so I think what I'm gonna do now is just, I'm gonna lay down, this is not really the right orientation here. I don't think I have enough space. Okay. Let's just move this here real quick because I need just a little bit more room. And I'm gonna lay down these 9 cards if I have room. Let's see. And then I'm sorry to hear about your breakup. Yeah, I would ask you, you know, your breakup kind of culminating at this full moon, Anna the base god. I would ask you about the evidence that you have been collecting to support. No, this is not ask a question. This is just listen. Anna the base god, I would ask you, what is the evidence that you have collected to support the decision or reality that you are breaking up, and how have you interpreted that? It's not right or wrong, it's just a question. All right, so I'm gonna turn around the camera here. Ooh, Lord, these cards starting off all up in our business. Here, I'm gonna pick this up And then I am going to turn this camera around so you can see the first 3 cards here. All right, we have the King of Pentacles. That 5 of Cups there is the card that was on the bottom when I cut the deck. So we have the King of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Ace of Pentacles. Good Lord. Sometimes the cards just be so straightforward and streamlined that I just be like, wow, really? Tell us about ourselves on today. So let me turn this around so y'all can see me. And just so you can see the cards there. Look at them antlers on him. She's got this fancy robe on. And I love how ornate this Ace of Pentacles is. All right, let's turn this around so you can see my face. So, here, let me just reset up my setup here. There we go. Okay, so we've got 3 pentacles to start. Now remember, the card on the bottom is giving us the context. It is really telling us about the overall theme of this reading, and we're always going to come back to that card. So we're always going to come back to this idea of making emotional adjustments, about dealing with ourselves and our feelings, about sitting in a place of discomfort with lack of resolution. I think that's really the key here. What does it feel like to inhabit a place without emotional resolution? That means that you may decide you feel one way one day and the next day you feel a different way, and you are trying to figure out what to anchor yourself to, right? When you're in a place where you have no emotional resolution, you're trying to figure out, what can I anchor myself to? And it's very easy to want to latch on to someone or something outside of you, but I think there is a wisdom in sitting with the discomfort and lack of resolution, understanding that it's not a permanent place, but sometimes you just need to deal with yourself, and that's okay. All right, so the King of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, and Ace of Pentacles really is kind of a jarring juxtaposition to the Cups, because the 5 of Cups is really like I'm in my feelings card, and I am dealing with myself and my feelings. But all of these pentacles tell us that this is about Saturn. I mean, that's really the size of it. Saturn defines the walls and ceilings in our life. It tells us where the limits are, right? Imagine walking down a street. There's no sidewalk. There are no lines marking the road. There are no turning signals. There are no street signs, right? Meaning that you have no sense of where you are. How do you know where you should walk and it's safe versus where the cars will ride? How do you know which direction the cars are coming from? How do you know if a car is going to stop to allow you to cross, or whether it's going to suddenly go and run you down, right? Saturn is the line demarcating where the sidewalk ends and begins. It is the stop sign telling the driver that they need to take turns. It is the yellow line down the middle of the road telling the driver that on this side of the yellow line, the cars are going in this direction, and on that side of the yellow line, the cars are going in that direction. That is Saturn, right? So imagine a world without that. I really hate the idea that Saturn is this awful boogeyman. And it's really kind of unfortunate that we're so immature in that way, in that we just can't understand the real role of limitations that are not something meant to thwart or block our will or our autonomy, but they're the container that empowers us to make decisions and reach goals, right? How you gonna get from A to B if on the way from A to B ain't no street signs, you don't even know where B is, right? So this is what's implied in all of these Pentacles cards. All of these Pentacles cards are talking to us about something very specific. So obviously the King and Queen can talk about a couple, right? Thanks, Milana. I hope I can see you tonight. I don't know what your schedule's like. Anyway, the King and Queen of Pentacles often can represent a couple, but I don't know if you saw my video I did a few weeks back on the court cards in the tarot. And I talked about kings as those who consume and dissect, right? This is a masculine diurnal, fire, air, right? And I know people take issue with masculine, but there's not really a replacement for that word. And also understanding that within the masculine is feminine, within the feminine is masculine. But the King of Pentacles, right, consumes and dissects what? Time, money, energy. For me, the King of Pentacles almost always means somebody is going to get a job because they need some money. Someone is applying for a job, interviewing for a job, and getting a job. It can also represent someone of influence or authority in your life that is telling you how much time and money that you have, telling you how much time and money or energy or resources that you're going to get. Remember, to consume and dissect means to take something inside of you and break it down into pieces, right? So oftentimes when we think of a more diurnal, and diurnal is always going to mean daytime, and it is always going to mean the elements fire and air. Fire separates things so that their differences are magnified, right? When you put anything in a fire, generally like when you put metal in a fire, the whole point of putting metal in a fire or ore in fire is so that all of the extraneous non-pure elements that are a part of the ore fall away so that you're left with something pure, right? So the King of Pentacles is consuming and dissecting this way. In some ways kind of controlling, right? Then we talked about the Queen of Pentacles, and what were my words for the queens? Conserve and discern, right? So whereas the king is going out to get more and using it, the Queen of Pentacles is working with what she has. Oftentimes when my clients come to me and they're looking for a job or wanting to make a huge decision that brings change into their life, when the Queen of Pentacles shows up, it's saying one of two things. It's saying slow your roll. You need to work with what you have because the opportunity for you to get more is rather low. So you need to conserve and discern how to best use the resources, time, money, whatever it is that you have. The Queen of Pentacles also talks to us about taking care of ourselves, right? When I see the Queen of Pentacles is organizing their life. They're going grocery shopping. They're cooking meals. In some ways, it's very domestic, but it's also this idea that you are immersed in the material aspects of your life, the day-to-day living, and understanding that part of being a good steward of your life and your resources is using your skills to go and acquire more, the King of Pentacles. But the Queen of Pentacles is how do you make the best use of what you have? What are the skills and talents that you have to make the best use of that? Ace of Pentacles is the money card. Either you getting some money or you need some money. So in some ways, these cards are very literal and straightforward about your material circumstances not being what you want them to be. Maybe you trying to figure out how to find a new job while you're working the job that you have. But I think in general, in the context, of the Five of Cups, remember, which is about emotional adjustment and sitting in a place of discomfort. I think there is something to be said around how part of dealing with ourselves and our feelings is staying present, and staying present in a very practical and material sense, right? What are the things that you need to do today to make your life function? How do you keep yourself from making your current emotional state reflect something bigger or larger than what's actually going on at the present moment? Remember, when we're talking about the full moon in Virgo, as I explained before, we're asking the question, can I take the evidence at face value? What is the story in the data? What is the story in the facts? How am I weaving together this story to make sense? Versus, is there something deeper here, right? Let's turn over these other cards. Ooh, these cards are very, very straightforward. Let me show you this. All right, here. So we've got the Ace of Cups, the Devil, and the Two of Swords. So what you're going to see me do after a while is I'm reading the story across, but I'm also going to be reading the story this way. So this is going to be really interesting to see how that works off. So Five of Cups there was the card at the bottom when I cut the deck. The King of Pentacles in the first row with the Queen of Pentacles and the Ace of Pentacles. Then we have the Ace of Cups, the Devil and the Two of Swords. The Devil is actually one of my favorite cards. It is not a card that scares me. And I don't read it the way that other people read it, because the way the cards speak to me don't really speak to me the way that other people read. So this is why it's so important for you to understand that tarot is a intimate relationship between a reader and their cards, and that not everyone is going to have the same experience with cards, right? Let's turn this back around, see that my face. So I'm back. So we have the Ace of Cups, the Devil, and the Two of Swords. So this is really starting to tie back into the card that was on the bottom when we cut the deck, the Five of Cups, which is about emotional adjustment and sitting in a place of discomfort where things are not emotionally resolved. The first row of cards talk to us about our material circumstances being the source of our discomfort. How are we going to acquire the things that we need to survive? How are we going to make the best use of what it is that we have? How are we going to deal with the needs that we have at the present moment? And I think the two aces kind of being in order here is really interesting. So I did there was a thread a while back last year where I was talking about how the aces are cardinal signs of the zodiac. The Ace of Pentacles is like Capricorn, and the Ace of Cups is like Cancer. Capricorn, remember, is about deserve and earn, but it is also about a sober assessment of our resources and figuring out how to use what it is that we have. The Ace of Cups is Cancer, and Cancer is the body at face value. It is saying, what are the needs of the body and how is the body communicating with itself in order to articulate or tell us what the needs are. Cancer always refers back to mother and family and home and belonging. So there's a connection here with aces, which are like seeds of potential. I don't really like that though, because that sounds real fluffy. Like, what does that mean? I don't know. Aces talk to us. Remember cardinal, right? I was saying cardinal signs. So remember, cardinal signs are hinges, turning points. Cardinal signs are the mechanism by which something moves or changes, which is why we call cardinal signs movable signs, because they move or change something. So Ace of Pentacles as Capricorn is regulating the process and the outcome based on a sober assessment of resources. Are you seeing a theme here? Being realistic about what you have. And I also think that because the moon is going to be in Virgo at the full moon, which is an earth sign, right? Whereas Capricorn is regulating the process and the outcome. Virgo is calculating the process and the outcome. Calculating means to quantify what it is that one has in order to organize it. Whereas Capricorn regulates. Capricorn is trine Virgo because Capricorn says, thank you, Virgo, for organizing all of this data and information and resources. Thank you for telling us how much we actually have. Thank you for the facts and the data. And Capricorn is like, now we can regulate. Now we can make plans. Now we know where the road ends and begins and which direction to go. Now we have a clear sense of a path that we can take, right? We're talking about logistics. So the Ace of Cups, the Devil, and the Two of Swords is, I want to start at the Devil here because it's right in the middle. The Devil talks to us about the material world in a very crude and primal sense. The material world is literally all of the things that are tangible, and it is talking about our kind of primal needs in some way, whether those are our survival needs, whether they are our material needs. Oftentimes, the Devil speaks to us about success in the material world, meaning external evidence of receiving something or creating something that we want, which is very interesting next to the Ace of Cups. I've seen these two cards mean sex together. The Ace of Cups, right, which is the body, right, your desire in a very sensual, a very sensual and, what's the word I want to look for? Physical sense. I just got the most random email notification. I'm so mad. Anyways, So there is a sense here of feeling like you've been denied something that you need or something that you desire. But there's also the sense that you haven't really taken the time to look around and see what it is that you actually have. Oftentimes when we're in our feelings and feeling disappointed, we don't necessarily, we're so focused on the loss that we miss what's in front of us. Right? We miss the reality in front of us. The Two of Swords often admonishes us not to make a decision or draw conclusions because we don't have enough information. So I kind of feel like we're juxtaposed between assessing the evidence around us and kind of being stuck there versus realizing that the way things are not the way that they're always going to be. But that doesn't mean that we're not upset or salty or in our feelings at this time. Okay. Woo! Oh my God. These cards are so wild. Like, let me just show you so you can kind of see how my mind works as far as tarot is concerned. Right? So I just pulled the World, the Knight of Cups, and Justice. So basically, all of the cards in my book that would in any way represent Saturn or Capricorn are in this reading, right? All of these pentacles, especially the Ace of Pentacles, the Devil, and the World. So, God, I love tarot so much. Let me show you something really quickly. Let me just go this real quick and then I'll show you what I want to show you. I'm going to go across here. So we've got the World, the Knight of Cups, and Justice. It's so fascinating that I just said that these cards are talking to us about how the way things are not the way that things are always going to be, but that does not make it any easier for us not to be in our feelings, right? So here's the World, a graduation. Look at all four rather of the suits there: Cups, Swords, Pentacles, and Wands there, and our lovely Goddess in the middle. This is a card of completion and graduation, a culmination, and being time to move on. This card often means that you have reached the end, although we've come to the end of the road, right? That's the World. The World card is coming to the end of the road. Literally, the road runs out sometimes. And it's not saying anything inherent about right or wrong, that you went the wrong way or you made the wrong decision or that the wrong thing happened or that this thing was bad. When the road ends, it literally means that it's time to change direction. You've gone as far as you can go moving in one particular direction. There's some more cups. Look at that. Do you know what we're missing? Wands. We'll get back to that though. Five of Cups, Ace of Cups, Knight of Cups. There's a little story there. Disappointment, being in your feelings, realizing that things did not turn out the way that you expected them to, sitting in a place of emotional discomfort without resolution. The Ace of Cups is desire. It's the body. It's the needs of the body. But it can also mean an emotional purging. What comes up comes out. Really kind of dealing almost like a baptism in emotion. Having your feelings purge themselves and come up to the surface to be dealt with, right? And then here we have the Knight of Cups. Again, if you saw my video on the court cards, knights are compelled to conquer, right? They're always moving, slow, fast. It just depends on what's motivating them. If we're talking about cups here, our needs and our desires, right, of our body motivate us and drive us to move forward. We are compelled to conquer our emotions. We're compelled to get what we want, to fulfill our desires. Our desires move us to make certain actions. So let's back up here. We get the World, the Knight of Cups, and Justice. Justice road together. We are graduating and culminating because we've reached the end of the road. The Knight of Cups talks to us about after we've reached the end of the road, it's really like, where do you want to go? What do you really, really, really want? Don't think too deep about it. Go with your gut. And Justice, right? This is kind of a juxtaposition here, right? Because the Knight of Cups can almost be kind of a fluke or be kind of wishy-washy, because if we're going with our feelings change all the time. Our desires change all the time. And for those of us who are more Saturn oriented, we might feel like we cannot trust our feelings. And we might feel like we need some stability in our desire before we make a decision about how we're going to move forward. But in fact, it is okay to go with your feeling. You don't have to have all of the data and all of the facts and all of the information up front. Sometimes, you know what? Evidence collecting has gone far enough. You know, it's like with Virgo, it's like, let me turn this around. Virgo is the sign of Jupiter's detriment, its fall. And it is because Jupiter wants us to make sense of things. Jupiter wants us to kind of tie things together. It wants us to create a tapestry based on the different threads of data and information. So Virgo is like, all right, here's 6 inches of gold thread. Here's 12 inches of indigo. We have a little cloth here that's 3 by 3. And it has some fuchsia and royal blue in it, right? Those are all facts. Those are all pieces of data, information about classifying and organizing. But Jupiter says, okay, but why do I have a 6-inch piece of gold thread and an indigo one and what am I doing with this? Oh, I'm sewing something. Look, I can use this gold to create a border. I can thread around here, right? Now, Jupiter in Virgo is like, no, you just have some stuff, but let me go get you some more stuff, right? So the problem or struggle with Jupiter in Gemini and Jupiter in Virgo is that Jupiter in Virgo says, oh, I just need more data. Let me do another study. Let me collect more information. Let me just measure this thing. Let me make a list. Let me do a spreadsheet, right? You get so stuck in data collection, so stuck in what does the evidence say? What does the evidence say that you miss the obvious? Why do you have to keep measuring pieces of thread to know that you're sewing something? Like, duh, right? This is Jupiter in Virgo. So I say all of that to say that this reading really progresses very, very nicely, right? We start with that 5 of Cups, which is about, just sit and be with the discomfort. You sitting and being in a place of no emotional resolution is not a judgment on you, and it is not a judgment on your circumstances. The judgment is what you're bringing to it. The judgment is your interpretation. So you can use this moment of emotional discomfort and lack of resolution. You can make it mean something if you want to, but that's just you deciding to tell that story, right? We are often in a moment or place where we cannot make sense of our feelings, and maybe we don't really know what we want based on what is available to us, right? But when we get to all of these pentacles, the King of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Ace of Pentacles, it's really saying, okay, if you want to be able to figure out what you want, really take a look at what you have. Take a look at what is available to you. Now, when we go to the Ace of Cups, the Devil, and the 2 of Swords, it's switching gears. It's like, all right, that's one method, right? Make an assessment of what is available to you. But the Ace of Cups is telling us don't get so stuck on the outside world and the way that things are that you forget what your own needs are, that you forget what your body is. So a lot of times we'll get so stuck in making decisions based on what we believe is available to us that we forget that we actually have needs. We forget that we actually have bodies that need things. And so we're always looking outside of us. This is what Capricorn, this is why the moon is in the moon is in detriment in Capricorn. Because the moon in Capricorn is saying your needs are defined by what is available to you to meet them. So I did a thread on Twitter yesterday where I was talking about just because something has been denied to you does not mean that you don't need it, right? Just because love and affection and validation, acceptance, happiness, joy, health, peace. Just because those things have been denied to you at this present moment, right? Hence the Five of Cups, you know, that lack of emotional resolution, the disappointment because things haven't turned out the way that you wanted. Just because you have been denied these things does not mean that you don't need them, right? This is another way we Five of Cups. We say, oh, well, since I'm alone and lonely, apparently I must not need people. Apparently attachment is bad because if I attach to people, they're going to leave anyway. Wow. So we're little kids. Even little kids know how to cope. Even little kids know how to deal with disappointment. Even little kids know how to sit with their feelings. It's adults that teach kids not to sit with their feelings because adults are uncomfortable with their own feelings and adults are uncomfortable with the lack of emotional resolution. But when you become a parent, the first thing that your child will teach you if you let them is feelings are as real as they feel when you feel them, period. Whereas adults, we spend a lot of time trying to talk ourselves out of our feelings. So this Ace of Cups, this Devil, this Two of Swords, basically what it is that you have assessed the evidence of your life and the conclusion that you have drawn is that what you need is based on what is available to you. In your relationship, you have assessed the dynamic, you have assessed the lay of the land to say, if I don't have it, I must not need it. Is that really true? I don't really think that that's true. But this is one of the many ways that we cope with disappointment. What I said on Twitter yesterday is that our brains and bodies are shaped by the absence of that thing that we need. Our brains are shaped in our upbringing. If we are lacking touch, our brains are shaped by that. So our brains and our relationship with our body being shaped like that, we take that and we interpret it and say, oh, I must not need it. But that's just a coping mechanism. That's a survival mechanism. So you see this card right here? This is the Two of Swords. And this card means chill. Like you really don't know what you're talking about. Shut your face. Shh. Close your eyes. Stop making quick judgments because you really don't know what you're talking about. As a matter of fact, you are entitled to having your needs met. If the need comes up in your body, then you need it. Now, again, addiction is a different story. And I do want to bring that up because the Devil and Ace of Cups can allude to that, right? But the Two of Cups is really saying you're trying to make a decision based on the wrong thing. You're not listening to yourself and your body. You tell your body to shh, be quiet. You tell your needs to no. I couldn't possibly need that because why isn't this person giving it to me? Why is life denying this? I must not need it. But that's just your coping mechanism. So let's wrap this up. Oh no, because I wanted to do one more thing. Hold on. Okay, so the World, the Knight of Cups, injustice. Time for that is over. Done, over, complete. That's that on that. That's the World. The World is like, that was nice. Very good story. The end, right? That story of assessing your own needs based on what is available to you is over. Yeah. So then we get to the Knight of Cups and justice. Remember I was talking about knights as being compelled to conquer. Knights are like, oh, I must, right? So the Knight of Pentacles is like, I have planted these seeds in the ground. I have tilled this land. I have sowed. I have watered. And you think I'm about to walk away from all the effort that I just put in? You thought. That's the Knight of Pentacles. The Knight of Swords is, this is true. This is a fact. I believe it. And who gonna tell me otherwise? So let me tell you, right? The Knight of Swords is trying to convince you because it's like, it's compelled by conviction. But we got the Knight of Cups here. And the Knight of Cups is the needs of our body in a very biological, primal sense. The Knight of Cups is our desires, right? To be compelled to conquer with our desires is saying that you are entitled to have what you need. That's a word. I'm going to retweet some threads because last fall when Jupiter entered Scorpio, I talked a lot about entitlement, right? And we often talk ourselves out of our entitlement when we have been denied certain things. So here's justice, right? So let me show you what I wanted to show you. So read these cards down. Look at that. King of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, the World, right? The King of Pentacles consumes and dissects, right? This is a very odd juxtaposition because the King of Pentacles is not necessarily interested in meeting needs, right? So perhaps this is saying that in some ways you've been so caught up on going out to get what you think that you want or need without really even figuring out what you need. So stop. You've reached the end of the road on that. You don't even know what it is that you need. You're so caught up in let me have, give me, mine, give me. Why won't you give me? It's mine. Give it here. Give it to me, me. You don't even know what you want. You don't even know what you need. So this is a time to really tap into that, right? This is saying pause. The energy of accruing and gathering when you haven't even, it's kind of like hoarding and getting stuff that you don't even need, or begging or asking for things that you don't need because you really haven't tapped into what you need. Listen to your body, right? Then we have the Queen of Pentacles, the Devil, and the Knight of Cups, right? The Queen of Pentacles is kind of a taking what you can get card and working with what you can have, right? Because, right, when we're talking about the Devil, this is just material reality. This is how we felt the best pathway to getting our needs met, the best pathway to having what we need has been just to be sober and accept the world the way that it is. And that works. That story is so great. It's great for children, actually, because children don't really have a choice. Children have to learn how to adapt and deal with the world around them as it is in order to survive and get their needs met. But you're grown, right? So you don't need other people to tell you what you need. And you don't need other people to talk you out of what you need. Listen to your body, right? Remember, this Knight is compelled to conquer, right? Their body is loud and they listen and they say, yes, this is it. Now, Ace of Pentacles, Two of Swords, Justice. These two cards together are a classic pair. How are you going to make a decision? How? The Two of Swords tell us that there is a decision that needs to be made, but there's a stalemate. And the stalemate is because you don't have all of the information. Or maybe some things need to progress. Maybe some conversations need to be had. Maybe you need to listen before you make a decision. This is a card of withholding judgment, right? Judgment means that you assess the data and the facts around you in order to draw a conclusion or make a decision, right? But remember, this is coming after the Ace. So this is really completing the story of what is it that you actually need? What is it that is available to you in order to get those needs met? What is available in order for you to get those needs met is not limited by your present circumstances, or it is not limited by the evidence that you can perceive with your own eyes. That's how we survive. We say, oh, right, okay, I need this thing. I've got $5, and so this is what I can get with it. But this card is saying, wait a minute, hold up, right? There's something missing here. There's some additional evidence or data or fact that you need to consider that you have not been able to consider. So we kind of meet it together here with this Knight of Cups and this Justice. Hey, Top Flight Nesh, who I always be reading like Fleshlight. I'm just saying, that's what it looks like. Knight of Cups and Justice. Let me just say this to the real quick. Don't be afraid to make decisions based on what you want. Don't be afraid to make decisions based on what you need. And don't let the past and whether or not you've gotten those needs met and whether or not you've gotten what you want determine what it is that you actually need. Don't let the outside world tell you what your body is telling to you. Close your eyes, withhold judgment, and listen to your body. That's really that on that. I mean, we tie it all back to that Five of Cups, and we go back to the story that we tell about our feelings. You're welcome, right? About what it means that we've been disappointed and let down. Right? You've been disappointed and let down by people. That's a fact. You're not going to get through life never being disappointed and let down. And sometimes you're disappointed and let down by the very people who at the very least should just play the role that they're supposed to play in your life, like your parents and lovers and people who you have been intimate with and shared intimate space with. But sometimes those people let you down. But you cannot make them disappointing you the complete story about who you are, what you need, and whether or not this world and your life has the capacity to meet your needs. Denial does not say anything about what you deserve, what you are worthy of, and what you are entitled to. I'm gonna cry. Right? Just because somebody told you no, either because they didn't have it to give, or either because they chose not to give it to you, does not say anything about what you're entitled to. Don't let somebody else's trauma and lack thereof determine your capacity to get your own needs met. You are not a baby anymore. So you can't sit around waiting for people to figure out what you need. That's mommy's job. Mommy's job is to watch your body language, listen to your cry, be in tune with your moods and your cycles, and then meet your needs. That's mommy's job. But you're not a baby anymore. When you're a baby, again, you have to take what you can get. If mommy is emotionally unavailable, and I'm just reading my life right now, so, right, if mommy is emotionally unavailable, daddy, grandma, whoever is emotionally unavailable, why have you allowed their lack of emotional availability to determine for you what your needs are? Why have you allowed the lover who had their own trauma and their own difficulties, which led them to hurt you, to deny you of the very thing that you need? Why are you allowing that to determine what it is that you're entitled to? This reading is reading me down so hard. I'm literally saying words that I've said to myself over the past week, right? Remember, Reed, we were talking about how entitlement doesn't have anything to do with whether or not you're going to get what you need. So entitlement to love is not based on whether or not someone is there to give it to you, whether or not someone gave it to you in the past, right? Entitlement to life, body, and well-being is not determined by somebody else's ability to deny it to you or give it to you. It is a state of being that informs how you interpret the world around you. I gotta go. I have a client waiting for me. I'm gonna have to run this back and I'm gonna have to listen to this. I feel like I need to cry some tears after this reading because I just see so many of us creating these spiritual doctrines and stories, talking ourselves out of the things that we need because we haven't perceived them. We talk ourselves out of the love and affection that we desire by saying, don't attach to people. I don't want a relationship. I want a connection. Wow. when you say you don't want a relationship, or you'd rather have a connection, or that you want to love without attachment, what that sounds like to me is that, wow, the people in your life who have told you that they loved you refuse to be held accountable. And so now, since the people that should have taken care of you never held you accountable, now you've decided that you won't ever hold anyone accountable in your life, and you're just going to take what you can get from them. That's what I hear. Anyways, happy full moon. I am going to upload this to YouTube. This was a really good reading. I'm going to upload it today. Thank you guys for tuning in. This was kind of deep. I might have to do this again. Yeah, I think I will. Y'all have a happy Tuesday. Bye.